Welcome back to the Fifth Down Pigskin Preview. Up next, the Huron Shores.
And Whittemore Prescott won the conference last season, going 9-2. The Cardinals then took down Traverse City St. Francis in pre-districts, but fell to McBain in the next round. They were the conference's lone representative in the postseason, but that could change this year. Oscoda, Tawas, and Alcona have improved over the past few seasons, and Whittemore lost some key seniors from last year's squad. Among them, starting quarterback Zach Morgan and running back Tommy Lee Miracle, as well as several key linemen. But head coach Kevin Frederick is optimistic about his team's youth movement.
We have a lot of skill returning, but we're definitely on the offensive defensive line looking for some young guys to step up. I think we may be bigger than we were last year, but we're younger. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Week 1, we may go in with not one senior starter on the offensive line.
While the Cardinals are pleased with what they accomplished last season, they are not taking the conference for granted. They expect their 3 captains to step up and fill the void left by last year's seniors.
You know, just watching them win that game and us lose, we need to just work harder, you know.
To be honest with you, I like a challenge. I'm sure our whole team does. Makes us push ourselves harder.
The target's on us now after winning last year, and we recognize that, and hopefully we can step up to the challenge.
Next up, the Oscoda Owls. They're coming off back-to-back 4 and 5 seasons, but that ain't bad, considering head coach Chris Davis basically had to rebuild the program from scratch. One way he's done that is with Camp Victory, a 5-day marathon that truly separates the men from the boys. 5 full days and nights of practices provide the Owls with double the amount of instruction time that most other teams are getting, and that just may be the recipe they need to get to the postseason for the first time since 2000.
You know, we've closed the gap on a lot of the bigger things that we need to do to be a competitive program and compete with the perennial playoff teams that we have on our schedule. But now we've got to do the little things in order to beat those teams. You know, you start to wonder and make your kids aware whether or not they're becoming complacent and that sort of thing, and you always want to constantly be getting better.
The Owls are going to be looking for new leadership on the field this season. They lost several starters, including 2-way lineman Sean Russo and running back Dan Lewis. The void should be filled by 3 seniors who have been on varsity since their sophomore year: Kieran Clark, Andrew Franks, and David Frazier. If Oscoda has any hopes of capturing the Huron Shores title, they're going to have to rely on those 3 amigos pretty heavily.
Me and my co-captains here, we were all nervous sophomore year, but we got all that out of the way now, and we're pretty good leaders now, and we're used to the big role that we've accepted.
We've got a lot of the 3-year seniors. I mean, we've been around, and most people have maybe 2 years varsity and they're done. But now we've had our 2 years that they have, but now we have another year to come back and hit it hard.
I want them to remember us for turning the program around. Like that one, I don't want to be that blip on the radar.
Let's head a little further down US 23 in Tawas. The Braves finished 5-4 in 2010, but dropped 2 of their last 3 games and came up just short of qualifying for the playoffs. This year's tribe includes plenty of veterans. They returned 9 starters on offense and defense, and that experience could lead to their first postseason bid since 2008. Quarterback Spencer Ellis took some snaps late last season and will run the Braves' revamped offense. But the key to that attack is running back Tyler Samuels. He rushed for nearly 1,300 yards and 19 scores as a junior, and now that he's a year older, Samuels says he knows his teammates are looking to follow his lead.
As a senior, you really got to be a leader. You got to just play by example, lead by example. It's not really about firing the guys up, it's more about just playing your hardest.
We got to involve this guy Samuels. He's a great running back. We got to get him the ball. We got a couple wide receivers I can throw to pretty deep, so we'll see what we can do with it.
Last but not least, the other Midnight Madness team, the Alcona Tigers. Head coach Dave Schneider is dedicated to making the playoffs after finishing last year 4 and 5. It won't be easy. They lost some key contributors due to graduation, including their starting backfield tandem of Ryan Summers and Kevin Fettis. The Tigers will also be without quarterback Ernie Brockwell and 2-way star Aaron Haft, but they've got guys ready to step in and make sure Alcona starts strong and finishes stronger.
Most of our problems the year before was having trouble near the ends because we couldn't pull through. So hard work is definitely everything we need.
Our focus this year is just toughness and competition. We want to compete every day. We're letting every kid know that he's going to have a chance to play. We're not going to set anything in stone. Guys are going to look over their shoulder all year long. We're going to kind of create that competition. We really need to make the playoffs, and that's going to be important to us. And we got to get off to a fast start. We got to win the games that we're supposed to win.
The Huron Shores Conference is going to be one to keep an eye on this year. Whittemore is getting younger, while the other 3 schools are getting older and more experienced.
Yeah, and the first school we went to this year, Alcona, I love the vibe that I got when we were out there at midnight from Coach Dave Schneider. He really seems like he's got that program just headed down the right track this season.
Let's take a look at some games to watch. The conference schedule heats up in Week 3. Jeff's favorite, the War on the Shore. Tawas at Oscoda.
And then over the next 2 weeks, the Owls have 2 more home games. If they can't win 2 of those 3, though, any hopes of the playoffs could be dashed. And also, keep an eye on Whittemore Prescott. They lost a lot of important players, as we said earlier, but it's their league to defend, and they'll have a chance. That game in Week 9 against Tawas could decide the league title.
Well, coming up on the Fifth Down Pigskin Preview, we'll head to Wildcat Stadium to check in on Alpena.
And a little bit later, there's a battle heating up in the North Star League. Find out what the boys over in Atlanta want most this year.